So we led off with 2 papers on site investigation for offshore wind farms, and then we moved on to integration of data into advanced geomodels. And it went very, very well. The papers all complemented each other. There was a lot of interest from the floor, and everyone was happy. I think the interesting thing is the more integrated nature in the way that data is being dealt with, used, manipulated, and things are moving forward all the time. More advanced computer analysis, cost considerations, building in cost models, risk models into the way in which data are considered, and what can be done up front before even having to go out into the field to gather data. And that's really significant. Overall efficiencies in terms of actually only having to go out and do one survey. So doing a lot of up work front with already data that's already in existence. That makes it more efficient in the field. So you get the data that you want, so you get it in the right place, and not having to reinvent the wheel once you get out into the field, realizing that there's a geohazard condition in place that you hadn't realized existed. It just means that there's an ever greater market out there. It means that there's more education required of those coming into the industries, of the differing needs of the different market segments. So the requirements for offshore wind versus that for oil and gas is significantly different. Site investigations for offshore wind can be of much larger scale, and as a result complexity, because of the spatial area that's being considered over offshore oil and gas, which can be fairly small, localized areas, so maybe 4 square kilometers rather than hundreds of square kilometers. So there's a variation. The end users need to understand that, and those that are actually doing the work need to understand that, and that was part of the process this morning of educating. Yes, it will. I mean, there's a continuum. You move into the environmental. We haven't, in site investigation, had so much interest or involvement in environmental mapping in the past, and that is increasing all the time, and that will move on through into different sectors such as deep sea mining, for example. You can sense on the floor that the industry is thriving. You can see that there are more people there. You can see that there is more equipment being developed. So there is real energy there that this is moving forward. You don't feel that the industry is being depressed by what's going on. This is a growth area. The offshore oil and gas industry is booming. Offshore renewables still is very active in northwest Europe. And then the sectors that you mentioned going into environmental, aquaculture, deep sea mining, beginning to come on as well. So there's activity across a broad front, and that requires equipment, it requires services, and all of that is what you see on the floor downstairs. It is of extreme importance. It's of importance to expose the equipment downstairs to those that are non-specialists in this area. If you go, for example, from my own standpoint, from the geophysical site investigation standpoint, if I go to the major geophysical conferences, the equipment you see downstairs isn't there. So this is one where actually all of the different types of skills families come together and actually able to see what's available to them, to integrate and to move forward in terms of their delivery.